Hi, everyone. Um, we are here and ready to go live with our next session of Mixed Media Basics. Just doing a little typing in. All right. I'll wait till we get some people in the room. And as you can see, we've got lots of ink on the table today. So we are doing some inking basics. We've got all kinds of inks. We've got some archival inks. We've got some distress inks. We've got some distress oxide. We've got some pigment ink, chalk ink, you name it. We've got it, big and small. Hi, Denise. Hi, Dana. Welcome, you guys. We've also got some embossing ink, and we've got some tools to go along with working with your inks today. And we're going to do some demos of stamping and a few things like that. And we're also going to do some alcohol inks. So we're just going to start introducing the types of inks and what we have here to go along with it. First off, for our card makers, you guys probably use this, and I'll get one where you can actually see it. It's just your regular pigment dye ink, and this is good for stamping on for your cards and on regular paper. I've got some stamps here. Let me pull a stamp out so we can do a little bit of stamping so you can see what these are good for. Hey, Sylvia, thanks for joining. And so we're going to go out with that. I'm just going to pull a little one out. I pulled these splats. I used to use these quite a bit. And I've got just a little sheet of cardstock here. We're going to set some of this over to the side. Yeah, eventually, I'm going to start dumping this stuff off as we talk about it, and then we'll pick it back up. Okay, so we were talking about just our pigment dye. And that's pretty much for our stampers. You see, it inks up really well. Got a quick stamp. This probably isn't the best paper for me to be stamping on. It's textured, but as you can see, it's really simple for our pigment dye. And you use this with, like I said, your regular stamping, and it dries pretty quickly, so there's no smudging. The thing is, if you get it a little wet, you might have some smudging with it. This one is, there we go. This one doesn't smudge a whole lot, but it's not as crisp as it was. But that's your pigment dye ink. And with the pigment dye ink, it soaks into whatever porous material you're using. And so that's how you get your color. And that's how your color is pretty vibrant with your pigment dye inks. I'm going to set these to the side for a minute. I just want to talk about stuff briefly, and then we'll come back and talk about them specifically. Next up, we've got, let's go with some archival ink. And archival ink is one of the inks that you may want to use when you are doing your mixed media projects, or your project's going to be really wet, because once this is stamped, this is permanent and it is waterproof. That's your archival ink, and that's what these are too. These are just big ones, these are just small ones. We're going to go back to our stamp again, and we'll get some of that archival ink. We're all inked up. And now we're stamped. And that's what you've got there with this nice, pretty brown archival ink. That's called potting soil, and I love that color. It's a reddish brown, but it's really pretty. And with the archival ink, you don't get any smudging with it. No smudging. And so that's pretty much your archival ink. Remember, you want to use these if you're doing some wet projects. Now into our Tim Holtz ink. I love, love, love my distress inks and my distress oxides. And of course, you're going to ask, What is the difference? I'm going to tell you. First of all, your distress ink is for creating an aged look on papers or fibers or photos. You can stamp with it. Let me show you what it looks like stamping. Clean off my little stamp here, my little splat here, and we're going to keep going with our splats. This one is, you know what, we used a brown. Let's go with black soot, which is absolutely amazing to distress with, and I'm going to show you how. Hopefully, oh, there we go. I got to re-ink this. I forgot to pull out, and I'm going to show you some other stuff too. Forgot to pull out. All right, there we go. That's what we've got. And so you see how you don't get the full color of it? It looks a little aged, like it's faded. That's your distress inks. But the other thing with your distress inks that's fun is you can ink and give a little spritz, not a whole lot. You spritz it a little bit and stamp again. So you can use these. These are water reactive a little bit. Your distress oxides, on the other hand, are completely water reactive. So that's your distress ink. But another way to use your distress inks are distressing the edges. And I love adding ink to the edge of my projects. I think it just kind of finishes off your project nicely. So since you got these little inkers, you can find them anywhere, and you get the little sponge with it. And what you do is you want to ink your sponge a little bit. And when you look at it, it's not going to look like it's got a lot of ink in it. But if you take the edge of your project and you want to start from the outside and pull in, see how I just did that? That's distressing your edges. And it's so pretty. I love using the distress ink. Distress oxides, they're a little bit of a different breed. They will give your project a vintage look, but there's a little bit more to them. These are totally water reactive, and I'll show you what I mean when I say water reactive. All right, so we're all inked up. And we've got a good stamp, right? Now, if I take my water, you see how that's spreading? That's what we mean when we say they're water reactive. You see how that's spread? That's your distress oxides. So unless you really want that look, I wouldn't use these on wet projects like your mixed media projects, just because that's what you're going to end up with. But again, they are very good for distressing your edges as well. We picked up some ink. Again, it doesn't look like much. And here you're going to start on the outside and work your way in. So you want to be a little cleaner than what I just was, because now you see my swirls here. So I can go back and kind of fix those up a little bit. But again, you want to work from the outside and pull the ink in so you don't end up really heavy like I did there. You see the difference? It's really heavy here. You want to work from the outside and pull your ink in because you're just trying to distress your papers. Oh yeah, the distress oxides are really great for making watermarks just because they're so water reactive like that. That's a good one there, Sylvia. I mean, think about that. All right. And so they do dry down, but that's it. And they don't bleed through. This is a good thick piece of paper too. Even with it wet, nothing bled through. But you see, those are your Distress Oxides and your Distress Inks. And we've got some other stuff to go along with those. Like I like the fact that if your ink gets dry, you've got re-inkers. You can use these to re-ink. So you're not buying the same pads over and over again. You really don't need to unless your pad starts to disintegrate. So we've got re-inkers for our Distress Ink and our Distress Oxide. And we've also got re-inkers for our archival inks. But the other thing too is, let me go back to one of my Distress Inks. The other thing with this is, I don't have it open. You can use this straight from the bottle. There we go. And I'm going to get into I'm going to pull some tags out and we're going to talk about using this stuff. But say you want more concentrated color and you're creating a background or something, drop these straight from the bottle. You can use them that way. And you're going to get, well, I'm not staying. Where's my brown one? Oh, there it is right here. Fortunately. And you're going to get a lot thicker ink, but you can also put it on the pad and you can use it on the pad depending on what you're trying to create. If you're trying to create a background or something, then you can go ahead and use it straight from the bottle. The same thing with the archival inks. But then just remember here too, with your Distress Inks, go ahead and wet that and move it around a little bit. So that's your Distress Inks. Don't worry, we're going to do some projects. I'm just doing some quick overviews. Also, the other thing with your Distress Inks, Tina's got like a Distress Refresher that you can use on your pads. If they feel a little dry, you can use this on your Distress ink pads, your markers, or your Distress paint. Just give it a little spray and it'll bring the pad back to life. Let's see, what else do we have here? I'm going to switch stamps because we've got, where's it at? Oh no, before we do that, how about we've got chalk ink. And I like using chalk ink to distress my edges as well. This one is just multi-surface chalk ink. And this one is a metallic chalk ink. This one is fast drying. You've got to check your chalk inks. Some of them are fast drying and some of them aren't. And so you can kind of smudge it a little bit. But for me, if I'm using a chalk ink, I just like to take it directly pad to paper and tap my ends. And again, because they don't dry as fast, I can take my finger and smudge it in. Now this one's a little faster drying than the other one. Let's go with some eggplant. Here's another chalk ink. The chalk inks have lots of pigment, but they're a little softer. And like I said, I like these. I don't like chalk inks for stamping. To me, let's do one real quick. To me, there's just something about them that I just don't like stamping with my chalk inks. Do you guys see a monster on my paper? I'm sorry, Sylvia. All right, let's try and ink that up. All right, we've got it inked. And you see, you just get a softer stamp with your chalk ink. It's almost like the stamp with the distressing ink. It's just a little bit softer. For me, chalk inks are for finishing off the corners of my paper and stuff. And I really like using chalk ink when I fussy cut something and it still has that white edge to it. I'll take some chalk ink to it. That's just one of my secrets because I hate fussy cutting. So anything that I can do to make it look better, It is a lot of fun playing with these inks. And I pulled out a oldie one here. This, I don't know if anybody's seen this. It's a glue pad that you can use with your stamps, and you can use it with like some fine flakes. Let me find a really pretty stamp. I pulled one out specifically to use this with. All right, and so, you know, I forgot to ask. I just jumped right in and got started. Everybody got their cocktails for crafts? What are we drinking, you guys? I don't care if it's water. We just need to hydrate while we're crafting. You know how it is. Sometimes you get in here and you start crafting and you forget about everything, about cooking dinner, about eating. I've had those marathon days and I realized, wow, it's 8 hours later and I haven't eaten anything. Oh, there we go. All right, so I pulled out this little butterfly. And I'm going to stamp him on a tag. How about we get rid of the monster for Sylvia? I'm going to stamp him on a tag. Orange Fanta, espresso coffee, great. Those are all great. I like strawberry Fanta, though. When I was drinking soda, I'm not drinking soda anymore, but when I was, I loved strawberry Fanta. Okay, so I've got my little butterfly inked up, and I'm going to give him a good press on here. And lift him straight up. This is almost like using Versamark, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my flakes. You see, take a little pinch of my flakes here, and I'm going to rub it over that image. Ooh, these flakes are almost like glitter. Once you get them on you, they're everywhere. It's the second herpes of the craft world, but it's fun. Give that a good rub. And let me get a quick brush here. Oops. And voila. That's what we've got. Yeah, it's cold here. We've got a big storm coming too. But now here's your butterfly. And we did that with the glue. Ooh, should put the lid back on that. Got flakes on it. On the glue pad. The only thing is you have to make sure that you clean your stamp really well so it's not sticky afterwards. So I've got some old cleaner from my Close to My Heart days, and I'm going to grab my baby wipes, and I'm just going to clean that off. Yeah, isn't that cute? And we just got gilding flakes. If you got the mixed media kit, like Sylvia, I know you do, the rose gold gilding flakes will give you the same effect using those with the glue. Whoop. All right, stamp all clean. And we'll put that back in there. This is going to be a mess to clean up later, but it's going to be fun. All right. You know what? I'm not sure if it'll work with the pad for embossing, Sylvia, but guess what? We're here. Let's try it out. All right, we're going to set that aside. Now, I've got Distress embossing ink, and I've got regular embossing ink. I'm going to use this one. This one's a little dry. I need to re-ink that. So back to our butterfly. And make sure my block is clean so he stays on. And make sure the butterflies clean. So, all right. Ooh. Let's get this all inked up. We're trying this out for Sylvia. All right, and we're stamping. All right, let's try the rose gold this time. Take some of those flakes. Oh, didn't have enough. There we go. You know what, Sylvia? It looks like it'll work, but my embossing ink dried too fast. Let's try it again. We're going to make this work. We are going to make this work. Where's my stamp? Maybe I needed a wetter embossing ink. I'm going to make sure this is good and inked up. And sometimes this is just user error. It could be me, but we're going to stamp this again. All right, that gave me a much better, cleaner image. And we're going to toss this on here. Now, it doesn't really work, Sylvia, because what happens is as you're rubbing the flakes on, you're rubbing off the embossing ink because the ink is wet, not sticky. So it's not really going to work. And I know I got a good image this time because you can kind of see it here. So I know I got a good ink on it. It's just that as you're rubbing, it's rubbing the embossing powder off. So it doesn't look like this is going to work with embossing powder, but let's do some embossing anyway. Now, there's lots of different embossing inks that you can use. I've got a whole bunch of different kinds. Like I said, I've got the distress embossing. And let's start with that one. We'll clean our stamp off real quick. And let's go with some distress embossing ink. My distress embossing pad, man, it has seen better days. But I love it. See, it's coming off the pad and everything. I got to be careful with it. But all right. Let's do some embossing. Oh, where's my tray? Oh, man. Oh, that won't open. Let's grab us some quick embossing powder that will open. Oh, here's one. This one's going to be fun. It's one of those textured ones from Lindy's. There we go. Look at that. So pretty. This embossing powder from Lindy's, this is, we've had this in a kit. This is, which one is this one? That's Marvelous. So it's a marble type of finish. If you can see that. And the embossing powder is really chunky. It's got mica flakes in it and everything. So it's a really nice embossing powder. Look, I've made such a mess already, you guys. All right. So we've done some embossing. Let's do just a little bit of regular stamping on. Let's stamp our tag here with a little butterfly on it. We had sentiments in our most recent kit. And so I'm going to use that to just stamp a little saying on here. We had these in the kit. These are by Studio Life, the Essentials Clear Stamps. And this is the love theme, which is we're in the month of love. Speaking of, do you guys have Valentine's Day plans? I don't know if Debbie's in here with us, but Debbie went on a date with her hubby last night. Sorry, Deb, I'm telling all your business. Hopefully they had a great time. I haven't had a chance to talk to her today. I've been busy. It's been one of those days. It started off with an hour Pilates class, and it just went from there. All right, since I've used this one, we're going to use this one again. This one says, so happy for you too. I use this on a card that I made using the February kit. That's what month we're in, February. Using the February kit for a wedding card, because hubby and I will be leaving Saturday for a wedding. Family member's wedding. We'll be traveling out of town Saturday for that wedding. Well, glad you had a chance to celebrate last night, Sylvia. All right, so just stamping that here. And I'm using just the archival ink. And that's our archival ink and how it looks stamped. Again, like I said, I love the archival ink for projects where I'll be using either mist or any wet medium. That's the best way to put it. Any wet medium, and you're just going to want to use your archival inks. They're the best for that. Like I said, they don't run. They are waterproof. Says it right on the top of it. And they are permanent as well. And I like pigment inks for cards as well, too, as long as I'm not going to be using any wet medium, because the colors come out so much more vibrant. Let's see. What do we got here? Let me find a stamp. Got another one. And we're going to stamp on here on this tag as well. And we're going to use some pigment ink to go along with it. Thanks, Dana. It should be tons of fun. It's family member, and we see them quite regularly, even though they live out of town. We see them quite regularly and are so excited for them. He called us. It's my husband's cousin, and you know, we've met him and his fiance. You know, hung out with them quite a bit. But he owns a gym, and he does this big event every year with his gym. Well, last year we missed it, but this year he called us and gave us a personal invitation. He was like, I really want you guys there. And we had our fingers crossed, hoping. I'm looking for a pretty color. You know me, guys, I'm going with pink. I'm a sucker for pink. Well, and we were hoping, we were like, oh, he's got the whole family there. Like his parents were there, her parents were there, you know, and his parents normally come out and support him. But we were hoping that, you know, he was going to propose. That's why he had us all there. And sure enough, he did. So we were there when he proposed. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited for him. Oh, well, happy 13th birthday to your daughter. Oh, that's nice. All right, so we've got some pink pigment ink on here, and we're just going to stamp down at the bottom of our tag, just kind of randomly. And there you go. So we've got that pigment ink. We've got some archival ink. We've got some embossing on here. Just wiping off my stamp. This pigment ink, I got this at Creativation last year from a class. It's the Catherine Pooler. It had just come out. And I got to work with it. And I really like her inks. So I was really happy to get these. Her colors are so vibrant. They're super, super pretty. Might have to look into maybe in one of our mixed media kits, do some inks, do a bunch of different kinds of inks, and then we can go from there. So now the other thing is our distress inks. I'm going to grab a distress ink because what you can do with your distress inks too is, all these are brown. Let's go with that one. The Hickory Smoke. I like that one. We're going to stamp with this too, although I don't like stamping with it a lot, but what you can do is you can layer your colors. So that makes it a little more versatile. You can put one color down and it won't bleed into the other. That's what I mean when I say you can layer your colors. They don't bleed. Denise, did you say what kind of cake you're making? I want to know. I'm off of sweets, you guys. I've been off of sweets since the first of the year. I was so tempted. I was out today coming home from Pilates, and I've been doing Pilates since mid-November, and I'm actually loving it. Yes, I've turned into a Pilates princess, but today coming home, I was so tempted to stop in a Dunkin' Donuts. All I wanted was a cinnamon roll. That's all I wanted, but I didn't do it. Okay, our Hickory Smoke might need a little re-inking. And since it does, it gives me opportunity to show you guys how to use the re-inker. Once I get it open. Don't laugh at me. I really wanted that donut. But instead, I came home. I drank my water. Fortunately, I bring my water with me to Pilates. So I just kept drinking until I got too far past Dunkin' Donuts. Ooh, that sounds yummy. I've never had cannoli cake, but it does sound yummy. Oh, great job, Dana. I'm down almost 10 because unfortunately, every now and then I get my sugar from a cocktail, and I didn't tell you guys what I had. Of course, I have my water, but I also have a little margarita, just a small one. I figured I earned it today in Pilates. Okay, so with your Distress Re-Inker, you're going to take your pad and you're going to squeeze some in. And what you're going to do is, you don't want a lot. You're going to take a drop or two, and that's it. And you're going to run this across and let it soak in. That's all you're going to do. You don't want to over ink these. And just make sure that you've got every area covered. I'm trying to make sure I got the corners covered. But yeah, you don't need a lot of ink to re-ink these. Ooh, Cinnabon. I love Cinnabon. Please don't get me started, y'all. So yeah, you see, I've re-inked it. And now we're going to go back in. And pick up that ink. And we're going to stamp again. Now this time, I'm going to stamp the other way. And there you go. It's not as deep because remember now we're using the distress inks. But now if I wanted to use another color, let's say I'm going to use Gathered Twigs. I love that brown. It's a beautiful brown for distressing. I can just go right back in. And I'm just going to try and get this a little off center from the other stamp that I just did. Fortunately, because these are clear, we can try and get it a little off because I want the two to overlap so you can see that they don't bleed into each other. Okay, can you see they didn't bleed and you can still see the two different distinct colors, even though they kind of overlap? That's the fun thing with the distress inks. Yeah, the hot pink is really, really pretty. That's called Pucker Up. That's the Catherine Pooler. And like I said, her inks are really, really pretty. They're really vibrant. And so we've got that bright, vibrant, but we've got that soft pink too. But we're just having fun with this. I know what y'all really want to talk about, though. Y'all really want to talk about the alcohol inks, don't you? Yes, I've got the alcohol inks here too. I was just doing a quick run through with these just to remind people of some basics and some things that they may or may not do with them. But y'all want to see the alcohol inks, don't you? Let's see, raise your hands. How many people want to see the alcohol inks? All right, let me get some of this off of the table. I've got a little bucket right here that I'm just dumping everything in. I'll clean it up later. But let's get into some alcohol inks and some ways different to use them. Let's talk about them while I'm cleaning up. Alcohol inks are for non-porous surfaces. Which means you use your alcohol inks on metals, glass, specialty paper like glossy paper is what you can use your alcohol inks on. That's pretty much what they're made for. All right, guys, trying to get this out of here. Okay, so we're going to need that. We're going to get rid of that. So if you've ever tried to use alcohol ink on regular paper, it just soaks it right in, right? There's a trick to that. You can use it on regular paper or even on chipboard, dare I say. And I've got a little piece out here too, so we'll go over that. But let's pull out some alcohol inks and the things that you need to use alcohol inks. You're going to need some blending solution or 91% alcohol, or actually both, because they both have separate uses. From watching tons of videos, they both have separate use. That's fine, Sylvia. Go ahead and wave. I'm waving right back at you. Okay, so I've got the blending solution, but I've also got some 91% alcohol. I picked it up at CVS Pharmacy if you have one of those, because I know a lot of people said they have a hard time finding 91% alcohol. And I know it's hard to find in Canada as well, but it's medical grade alcohol, but you can get it at the regular store. We've got some more alcohol inks here. And we're going to go through because there's different kinds of alcohol inks. You're also going to need, well, you don't need, but it's a lot of fun to use, some of the square or round inkers. And you're going to need some felt tips. The applicator felt, I got my square tools because I still had square felt left. So we're going to take that. And we've got some glossy paper here. And we're going to play around with our glossy paper. Now, one of the other things that Tim has, he's got all these different accessories to use with the alcohol inks to make all the different backgrounds and the different designs. I don't have all those. And one of the things he uses a lot is a blow tool to blow the alcohol ink around. And that's because, yeah, it does, Sylvia, but you can use hand sanitizer to remove it. That's probably, everybody has tons of that right now. So I don't have a blow tool. Let me rephrase that. I don't have Tim's blow tool, but I do have a blow tool that I use for my eyelashes when I put my eyelashes on. So we're going to use this. We're going to use my little blow tool. Tim's is a lot bigger than this. So, and we're going to use some glossy paper, and I pulled out some metals too. So let's start with some glossy paper. This is old and it just says glossy finish paper, but he's calling it Yupo paper now. So if you go look for it and you don't see anything that says glossy finish paper, but you see something that says Yupo paper, same thing. So now we're going to take this, and there's two ways that you can start depending on what you have. But you know what? Let me back up. Let me introduce our alcohol inks. So we've got regular alcohol inks. We've got pearl alcohol inks, and we've got alloys and mixatives. You can use your regular alcohol inks with just the alcohol. Now, this is per Tim Holtz, but to use the alloy and the mixatives, you have to use a blending solution, because the difference is the alloys and the mixatives have pigment in them, and it needs a binder for them to stick to the paper. Even though you're, or whatever surface you're using, it needs a binder for them to stick to the surface you're using. I was playing a little bit earlier. Let's see, here it is. Oh, it's stuck. I'm making a mess as always, as we all do. So I was playing a little bit earlier with this, and I don't know if you can see these little spots right here. That's the pearl mixative. And what happened was, because I didn't have the alcohol, the blending solution here, it flakes right off. It won't stick because there's no binder for the pigment. Hey, Deb. So when you're using alloys and mixatives, you need the blending solution. If you're just using regular alcohol and you don't have blending solution, regular alcohol inks and you don't have blending solution, you can use regular alcohol. Okay, now you're like, mixatives and alloys, what's the difference, right? With the mixative, first of all, the mixative and the alloys, you hear that? They both have little balls in them. So that means they have to be, you have to shake these up really well. Come on, shake, 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 shake. So yeah, you have to mix these up. Now, the way Tim explained it, the mixative, and this is pearl, they snow cap. These were the original, more opaque alcohol inks that he came out with. And what happens is they do exactly what they say. They kind of mix into and spread out. Like you can see it here. They'll mix into and spread out. And if you're using a white one or a pearl one, what it does is it gives the regular alcohol ink a little more opaque color. Now, the alloys are a little bit thicker. These tend to kind of pull up, almost like he said. So when you use these, you'll get a different design than you do when you use the mixatives. The alloys maybe a little bit thicker, and so they like to congregate together a little bit more. Hope y'all understand that, because it took me a minute to get it, to try and be able to explain it to y'all. So hopefully that was easy. All right. And then the regular alcohol inks, they normally come in this size, but he did do some colors in the larger 2-ounce size, and we've been getting these colors in the kits. So if you guys aren't getting any kits, you're missing out, because we've been building up all these alcohol inks, because I got all of these from past kits. All right, so now let's get started. Do you guys want the background way, or do you want the abstract way first? Do you want to just create simple backgrounds? I'm getting a little dry. Y'all come on, talk to me. Okay, executive decision. We're going to start with the simple backgrounds, with creating just a background. What we're going to do is we're going to take a little inking block and we're going to take our felt pad. Simple background. Okay. Sure, Dana, that's all. Sure. Now, to get started, you can use either alcohol or you can use your blending solution. We're going to do blending solution. And what you're going to do is you're going to take this, and you need the felt pad, not the sponge, because the sponge is going to absorb your liquid. The felt pad won't absorb it. It'll still be wet. So you can use it. First of all, you're going to put some blending solution on there. And then you're going to take your colors, and you're just going to put it where the blending solution is and just put some in there. And you do all your colors at once. And these are just your regular alcohol ink colors for the moment. All right. And now what we're going to do is you want to take and stamp and start . And there's your background. We're creating our background. And the more you do it, the more you twist, the more you're mixing your colors. All right. And please, before you do this, make sure that you cover your work area, because this will stain your work area. Okay, so this is the start of our background. Right? You see that? But let's kick it up a notch. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the mixative and make sure you get this shaken. There we go. Shake it up really good. And this is the Pearl Mixative. And so now, remember I said we needed alcohol blending solution. You add that directly to it and then start dropping in. There we go. And now take the blow tool and start moving stuff around. And remember, that's still wet. So we're going to take one of the alloys . Oh, dropped my alloy. And I've added some of that and move it around. And you see how with, oh, there's a glare. Sorry about that. Okay, you see how with the mixative, it moved around quite a bit. But then with the alloy, it kind of stayed put. It moved around, but it kind of stayed put. If you want to break that up, the way Tim said do it is, what you do is you take some more of your blending solution, you wet it again, and then you just blow it around. And my blow tool is a lot smaller than the one that he was using, so we're not getting as much blown around. But you see how it moves around, and it moves almost like in clumps, not clumps or chunks. He called them little islands. But now you see how we've got it moved around a little bit more, and I know it's kind of hard to see the glare. But there you have it. Do you see that? I didn't even think about a straw, Dana. You're absolutely right. A straw would work too. But you got to have some good lungs. And this is still wet. So as long as this is still wet, you can still move stuff around. But that's how you create your backgrounds. All right, we're going to set that one aside. And next up, let's see what we got here. We're going to, we're just going to go ahead and have some fun with some alcohol inks, moving stuff around. So, you know what? Give me a second. I'm going to grab some other colors from my smaller bottles from my actual stash so we can have some color to some stuff. All right. All right, so I just randomly grabbed some colors. So we'll see what we got here. Okay, we got Cool Periwinkle. We got Sunset Orange. We got Stream. And we got Purple Twilight. Y'all, I managed to grab colors that didn't include any pink. So we're going to use these colors for this one. And this is just to create some abstract stuff. Now, with this one, you want to start with alcohol. And your alcohol is going to go on your paper. A sprayer would probably work better. I didn't have mine in a sprayer. But there we go. And then what you're going to do is you're going to randomly start dropping in ink. And when I probably put too much alcohol on here, so. Ink. Let's see. And then, oh, we need some more of this purple, definitely. You start blowing stuff around. And because I use too much alcohol, we're going to be blowing forever. See, that's why a sprayer probably works better when you are using your alcohol. And because this is so dark, I kind of want to lighten it up a little bit. So I'm going to take one of my mixatives and I'm going to lighten this up a little bit. But remember, I need to have the blending solution first. And so now I'm going to add the mixative to it, and it's just a pearl. So we're going to add the pearl in, and then let's add some copper to it. Oh, my copper looks a little clogged up. I thought I just used that. Oh, nope, nope, nope. Okay, let's go with sepia. There we go. And if you want to move it some more without adding it, just add a little more blending solution and blow some more. We're going to add a little solution down here, and we're going to go in with an alloy. We are using Mind. As our alloy. Oh, and I got somewhere there. And like I said, with Tim's blow tool, this will spread out, or a bigger blow tool, or even a straw where you've got a larger blow area. You'll get this to spread out more. It's like I am killing my hand with this little small one. But this is our alcohol ink. And you can see the pearl and the alloy and how they both react differently. The pearl gives you almost a shimmer. The alloy gives you that metallic look to it. Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm putting the wrong lids on the wrong bottles. Is what that does. So those are two different ways. Yeah, you can use the heat tool, Debbie, but it's going to dry the alcohol ink, so it's going to dry everything in place. But that's our alcohol inks. There was something that I wanted to do again with the distress inks as well too. Wait, does anybody have questions on alcohol inks? And so yeah, I stained my hand. Not worried about my nails. I'm getting them done tomorrow anyway. So, you know, got to have a fresh set for when you're going out of town. Right, Sylvia? Now I want to see you pull out those alcohol inks you got. Now, these are really fun to do. Like, I could take this now that it's all colored and say I wanted to make a card. I could take this. I could use it as is on the face of my card. Or I could take, and I've been trying to use these like a corner punch or something, or an edge punch, and give this a really nice decorative edge. Or I could take a nice die, like maybe a doily die or something, or a swirl die, and run this through the die cutter. Because even though this is glossy paper, it's still meant for crafting. So you can use this on your cards and your scrapbook layouts, however you want to use it. But if you're sitting and you're playing and you're messing around and, you know, trying stuff out with new techniques and everything, don't throw away these pieces, because these can be used. Like, I'm not going to throw away this one either. Although it's a little dark for me, I might add some more color to it to lighten it up. And then from there, again, I may die cut it or cut it. Oh, that's what it was I needed to tell you guys. Okay. Thanks for Sylvia for reminding me, because I'll forget everything. Remember, in the beginning, I said alcohol ink is for non-porous surfaces, but we do use porous surfaces when we're crafting, and you may want to use your alcohol ink, especially on chipboard. I love decorating chipboard, and this is just a piece of the inside piece from a frame. So we're going to take this. There are several different ways you can use your alcohol inks on porous surfaces. One of those ways is with gesso. This is clear gesso because I want the background to stay the same. And what I'm going to do, and yeah, my hands are already messy. I'm going to go ahead, give this a quick paint with some clear gesso. Yeah, don't be afraid to get your hands messy, you guys. Like I said, I'm in for the evening. I don't even have to cook. We are eating leftovers from the Super Bowl party that hubby and I had. And yeah, we had a party of 2. Hey, Robbie, is that you that just popped in? All right, I'm going to take the heat gun real quick. A little noisy for a minute, you guys. Okay, that's pretty dry. What'd you have, Debbie? I mean, Dana? Yeah, what I was saying is we had a Super Bowl party of 2. Y'all know how big of a football fan I am, right? We stopped going to Super Bowl parties because nothing against the wives. I love them dearly, but they wanted to talk during the game. They're like, Kim, come in here with us. Let's have some wine. Let's do this. I'm like, no, ma'am. I'm here to watch football. So I cooked, and because it was Kansas City and the Philadelphia Eagles, even though it actually wasn't too cold here Sunday, I pulled out the grill and I did dry rub Kansas City ribs on the grill. And I also made Philly cheesesteaks. And we had French fries with it. And in honor of Kansas City again, too, we had a little bourbon with it. Just a little bit. Just a tiny little bit. Okay, so now our gesso is dry. And we know gesso is used to prep your porous surfaces so that you can use wet mediums on them, right? But now you can also use your alcohol inks on this. And I chose a clear gesso because I didn't want the white. If you use white, sometimes it can alter the color of your alcohol inks. So let's get it going again. And also, you don't have to use alcohol to start with. You can use the blending solution. I'm going to use that because I got a little more control over it. I need another bottle for my alcohol. But, all right, so this is where we're going now with it. Let's go with a little blue. And let's go with the pearl mixative. And now I'm just blowing this all over. Let's add a little orange here. And so now I've created my background on my chipboard. And you see, it hasn't sunk in. It hasn't absorbed it all. It did in a little spot, and that's probably because my gesso application was spotty. Remember, I just did it with my hands. You're funny, Sylvia. Man, Kansas City could have used a whole lot of bourbon. I've never seen them play that horrible. Or was it that the Eagles just played that good? Seeing how my team wasn't in it, I really didn't care who won. I would have liked to have seen Kansas City make history. I mean, I don't hate the Chiefs. I would have loved to have seen them make history, but I wasn't mad that the Eagles won either. Uh-oh, you guys, I forgot to plug in. Let me plug you guys in real quick, or we are going to die. There we go. I'll plug in now. All right, so But yeah, you are absolutely right. They needed some bourbon and a whole bunch of other stuff. Right, Dana? Same here. I don't understand the hate that Kansas City gets. Gosh, it's not like they're the Green Bay Packers or anything. That was for you, Dana. Okay, so see how our chipboard looks? And you see it's sitting on top. It didn't soak in. So you can use clear gesso on your porous surfaces to make them non-porous. So you can use your alcohol inks. You can use clear gesso. You can use, you know what? Let's try something. I didn't even think about it. You know what? Let's flip this over. Let's see what it looks like with us using some black gesso on there. What do you say about that? Let's see what it does to the colors. All right, come on. I got some open black gesso in here somewhere. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. Let's do that. I didn't even think about that until just now. Yeah, I'm using my fingers again, you guys. Let's see the difference it makes and see if it alters the colors in any kind of way. I think the blue would be really pretty on this black. What do you think? They did, Dana. They dominated. What do you think about Dana? What do you think about this whole Aaron Rodgers thing? The Jets said they're probably not going to bring him back. You think it's time for him to go retire? All right, you guys, you know what? We've been going for an hour and I have not done a single giveaway. What I'm going to do is, because I really didn't have time to think of any questions, everybody pick a number between 1 and 50. Just one number. Everybody just pick one number. And when you guys are done, have the number, I'm just going to do a random generator while this dries. Yeah, I think it's time for him to retire as well. Okay. Do we got everybody with the number? Dana, I said 1 through 50. Bring it down 5 or something. See, I got y'all discombobulated talking about Aaron Rodgers. All right, this is almost dry. Okay. Okay, so now here's my question. I picked the number, but nobody got it. Pick your numbers again. I know. Okay, this is a little spotty. I'm going to see if I can fill this because I want to make sure this is completely covered. I got a few little spots where I didn't get any gesso in here. You know what? I'll make it easy for you. Pick your numbers between 1 and 30. No, 1 and 25. That's what you do. Pick your numbers between 1 and 25. I know I'm so random, you guys. I'm sorry. Keep picking. All righty. Keep on guessing. Keep on. Oh, Dana's our winner. Her number's 19. Dana got it. Yay, Dana. She must have won because I was picking on her, talking about her team. Okay, guys. So now we've got the black gesso on the chipboard. Let's see how this comes out. Should I use lighter or darker colors? You guys tell me light or dark. I'm going to see if I can grab some more colors. Man, I keep grabbing all the same colors. There we go. Okay. I just grabbed another handful of colors. Light, okay. So I got raspberry, I got juniper, and that Perry that was in here. Where does it go? That was a pretty light color. Oh, here it is. Okay. So we got juniper, raspberry, and cool Perry. Let's see how those look. And again, we're starting with the blending solution. We add some Perry. Add some juniper. Oh, these look dark. And yeah, these colors came out dark. You can't even see them. Okay, let's go with, nope, that one's still dark too. Let's see if we can get some purple. I'm thinking if you're going to use black, you're going to have to use some really bright colors because this is coming out really dark. And it did alter the colors because that raspberry that I put on here now looks orange. Let's see what the metallics look like on here. We're going to add some of that alloy to it and see if that helps a little bit. And we're going to add another, oh, didn't mean that, and add a little more blending solution. And let's add some of the copper mixative. Oh, white? You want to go with the white? Okay. I want this to move a little. Adding the pearl helped a little bit. It brought out some of the blue that was in there. But yeah, our lighter colors now. I wonder if I add our lighter color on top now. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, even still adding the lighter color on top, we're still not getting a whole lot. The pearl helped. It's still pretty, but yeah. Yeah, no, it just didn't come out great. I would suggest using either clear gesso. After our experiment here, I would either go with clear gesso or white gesso or white paint. And you can also use collage medium because, you know, collage medium is made, especially if you're working in a art journal. If you're doing an art journal, I would definitely say use the collage medium to color your pages before you use your alcohol ink, because you can truly use alcohol ink in your art journals. Let it dry. You know what? I'm going to flip this over, see if we're still wet here. It's not. Let me see if I can revive our background stamp with a little bit of blending solution. See if we can still. Yes, you can. Look at that. Revive that background with just a little blending solution on there. I didn't add any more alcohol ink color. I just added the blending solution. Now, if I wanted to add a little more color, put that rosemary in, that raspberry in there, and maybe a little of the periwinkle. Oh, we need a darker color. There we go. All we did was add blending solution and we revived it, and it's added a little more color to it. So, what do you think, guys? What do you think our next live should be? I'm open for suggestions, you guys. Yeah, I think 99% of what we did today was good. I just don't think this was the best. I think using the black, I would just stick with the metallics on the black. I wouldn't try to add color. What do you guys think? You think just the metallics on the black would probably come out a little bit better? One more thing before we go. I had this piece that I embossed, and I want to take some of the distress ink and just have some fun with the distress ink on that. So I've got and the outside ink. We're going to use both. Some gray and a little bit of this ice spruce. How about these colors? Oh, that's the embossing ink. I want it. The hickory smoke. Here it is. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of pink. We're going to do a little bit of ice spruce, and we're going to do some hickory smoke around the edges. So I'm going to grab my tools, and we're going to finish it out with this. Oh, I left an old sponge on here and it is just disintegrated. Yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck. All right. So we are going to start with our lightest color. You always start with your lightest color. That's the key, Denise. Get in here and play around. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. All right. So I'm going to get some of my ice spruce here. And all right, I'm trying to make sure. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm starting from the edge and pulling color in. And I'm just doing it in random places. That's the fun thing about this. You can just do random. And now I'm going to go to the worn lipstick. I don't want it too heavy to start with. And then again. Just coming in random. And then I may want to go back to my ice spruce and hit it some more. Trying to build these colors into each other. So I'm just going back and forth. You guys, when we're done, I'm going to have dinner, and I'm not a big TV person, but tonight's my TV night. I like those FBI shows. So yeah, I'm going to watch my FBI shows tonight and relax. And I hate to tell y'all this, but I just finished packing already. I'm one of those people that needs to pack early. I throw like a million things into the suitcase, and then I weed everything out. One, this way helps me keep from overpacking, but two, it also keeps my anxiety down about me feeling like I've forgotten something. So yeah, I packed before the live started. Okay, so this is where we're at right now with our ice spruce, and it looks a little light. Let me see if I can turn one of the lights off so you guys can see the color. There you go. You see the color there? There. So we've got our worn lipstick and our ice spruce. Now what I'm going to do with the hickory smoke is I'm going to take that all around the edges. Oh, I'm so sorry, Sylvia, that you got to get up that early. Now, remember, when you're doing your edges, you want to start from the outside in because you don't want to pull all the color all the way in. And so that's what I'm doing with the hickory smoke. And I'm just lightly tapping. I do like to go a little heavier in the corners, though. That's just my preference, to give it almost like a vignette kind of look to it. So I will go a little heavier and in a little further in the corners. But this is also another trick you can use for your cards, especially if you like to emboss them. Go ahead and then add color to them. I think it just makes the embossing pop a little bit more. And there's some gorgeous, gorgeous embossing folders out there now. I don't know if you've seen Lisa Horton stuff. It's available to me now where I can get it and I don't have to worry about the shipping. And Sylvia, hopefully you got the newsletter, your email about shipping. I'm still waiting, and I'm so sorry. If you guys don't know, with the US, even though the tariffs were removed, stuff coming, they weren't removed for China. And you know, like 95% of our craft stuff is made in China. And so everything that I ordered for the March kits is sitting in customs right now, and it's been sitting in custom for almost 10 days. So now I'm just going back over with the pink. So it looks like our March kits are going to be delayed. I will be keeping everyone abreast, all the subscribers abreast with what's going on via newsletter. And again, I apologize. I am so sorry. I talked to my distributor, and everything that they shipped out on the day that they shipped my stuff out is sitting in customs. Everything. All right, so now I'm back to the ice spruce again, and I'm just deepening up some of the color. Just deepening up my colors. And I'll show you, you can see where the colors overlapped. They still didn't get muddy. And again, that's the one thing with the distress inks. You can layer these colors and layer these colors, and they don't get muddy. Now I'm going to go back around my edges where I feel like it's a little light. I think it's a little light down here at the bottom. So I'm going to go back over that, take a little stamp of that. Okay. And so those are just some colors. Again, let me get the light for you. Let me see if I kill this one too. Hopefully it won't go too dark. There you go. You can see the colors. And you see how it just kind of makes the embossing pop a little bit more. So again, just some things to think about doing when you're doing your cards, or even if you're creating the background for your scrapbook kit, for your layout. And if you like to layer backgrounds with different textures, just some things to think about, a few things that you can use here that you have at your disposal. So that's all I've got for today, you guys. This was fun. It was messy, but it was fun. And I pulled out so much stuff. I'm going to have a lot of cleaning to do in this room, but I do it for you guys. It's not a big deal. Any questions about anything? So you get 3 kits at once. You know what, Sylvia? I'm not sure. But I know the merch stuff is sitting, and now because it has taken so long for merch stuff to get here, I'm thinking that I should already start ordering for April. And I don't want to do that because I don't want to order right now because Creativations is coming up in early March, which means manufacturers will be, oh, don't worry about it, Debbie. Manufacturers will have the new stuff. So if I order stuff now, I'll be ordering what's there. I won't have a chance to look at the new stuff. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So I'll try and get it worked out within the next couple of weeks, hopefully for April. But in the meantime, again, thank you. I appreciate your patience with all of this. I hope everything was informative today, and that you guys took at least something away from this. Thank you guys for joining me. You know, I always appreciate it when you guys join me. If you've got ideas for the live for March, you know, throw them out here right now. Let me know so I can start planning for March. I'm a Virgo, so I'm a planner girl. You know, I have to have everything planned. So let me know what you're thinking. Or if you just want me to come and create. Robbie, I know you were late, but this should be up probably about 10 or 15 minutes afterwards if you want to go back and catch the beginning. We just went through some basic ink stuff, and then we started making a mess and having fun with alcohol inks. So again, thank you guys for joining. Again, I appreciate it. And again, throw me some ideas because it's hard thinking of what you guys want to see. I know someone did ask about chipboard, and maybe I'll do something with chipboard, different ways to embellish chipboard, because way back in the day, I used to love embellishing chipboard. I would paint it and then stamp on it. I'd have like 3 or 4 different layers on my chipboard. So that's something to think about. If I don't hear from you guys, then maybe we'll do something like that. But again, everybody have a good night. Those of you in the areas that are expecting snow, you guys stay warm and stay safe. I'm going to do the same here because we're supposed to be expecting the snow too. Have a good night. Happy Valentine's Day to all you beautiful people out there. And again, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys, and have a good night. Bye-bye.